up ahead. Affirmative 612.
This edition of the Wealthy Pilots Podcast, Scott, let's talk about the new presidential accounts, right? Free money, future headache. Let's kind of talk about this and break it down a little bit. It's an interesting world where when you say certain words, things get kind of squashed and compressed, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
So we'll do our best to talk about these things without limiting our impact to reach people. But these new government-backed accounts for kids is coming, and sounds pretty cool, right? It sounds like a win. So let's talk a little bit about this. What's your take on it? Kind of a big picture overview, that good kind of stuff. And we'll just dive right in and get rocking here.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, these were launched and touted as, a presidential, I'll say, incentive, I think, to have kids here. But they're for kids born between 2025 and 2028, which is a real shame because when I first heard about this, I'm like, sweet, I got a bunch of kids. Let's get the cash flowing. But I can tell you this much. I'm not having any more kids. So 25, 6, 7, and 8, all you other pilots out to get busy. It's on you guys to carry the torch with this reproduction moving forward. But anyways, the government deposits $1,000 into an account for children born between 2025 and 2028.
And they own the account. Yeah. So you're the custodian as the parent.
Correct. So it's in the child's name, but it's just like a custodial account, like we have at Schwab.
Till they're 18, right?
Yeah. Yep. So the kid gets it at 18. I might have said this already, but they start in July of 2026. So it's rolling out this summer sometime. So it might be just something to kind of put on your annual financial to-do list if you are a recent parent or recent repeat parent, put it on your list to take advantage of it. To me, it's one of those things where it's not like life-changing money, but it's still $1,000. Like I would be taking advantage of it. So.
I mean, $1,000 though, right? Because anybody can contribute. So like parents or grandparents can add up to what I think like $5,000 a year.
Yep.
And if you're talking about a kid, so like my business partner had a child this year. He's brand new, right? So he falls into the guidelines. I mean, in 50 years, that could be crazy,
Well, and it's getting invested into low-cost U.S. equity index funds. So, I mean, to me, I think it's kind of cool. It's going to, support, U.S. Equity funds anyways, which is great. We like those low-cost index funds too. So, to me, I think it's, the compounding effect of that is going to be worth something. And more. I mean, to me, I think there's also a behavioral part here that I hope the government was intentional with, maybe not. But to me, there's a behavioral part where, like, even with a lot of our folks, when they're coming on board, when we're trying to get a savings plan, we're like, hey, at least just start saving $100 a month. Because the jump from $100 a month to $200 a month, that's 100%, right? It's kind of a big jump, but it's only $100. Well, to go from $0 to $100, it's only $100, but it's an infinite jump because that infinite jump is important to get over. Like if I'm just starting to go from 0 to whatever, it's much easier for me to go from whatever to more. But to go from 0 to more is always a lot harder because I'm never seeing it come out of my account.
Right.
It's just that act of starting, I think, is the hardest part of it.
Well, I feel like that's one of the problems it's trying to solve, right?
Yeah.
So we'll talk a little bit about some pros and then we'll go to some cons, right? Some criticisms. But I mean, obviously they're the free money, but I think to your point, it's maybe building a habit. And again, to the compounding point that I made, right? I mean, you could be talking a substantial amount over the course of a lifetime.
Right.
If you build good habits.
Yes. And, if you think about putting $1,000 in that they're putting in, and then let's say, me or you for one of our kids was putting $5,000 in a year in for over 18 years, it's significant. I mean, it's a good chunk of change that kid is going to be able to pass off. Now, or you're going to be able to pass off to the child, young adult. One of the things I think is interesting is withdrawals are taxed as ordinary income.
Okay.
I think that's interesting because it's getting funded with the after-tax dollars. So, I mean, that's a big criticism of it. There's no tax deduction. So it's not like I'm putting $5,000 in for my kid and I'm reducing my taxable income by $5,000. That's not the case.
Okay.
And so to me, I think that's kind of a big deal because it increases, like that money's kind of getting taxed twice if you think about it. Like I paid, if I'm putting $5,000 in, I paid taxes on that money. I put it in, it's going to grow, and then the government gets taxed on that money when it comes out. Now, it does grow tax deferred, so you're not paying, capital gains on rebalancing, or you're not paying dividends. So that's nice. But, still for it to get withdrawn as, I when these were first rolling out, I would have expected when the money came out for it to be taxed at a capital gains rate, almost like a 529 or something like that. But they're going to be taxed as ordinary income. So, now, granted, it's going to be taxed as ordinary income at what your 18-plus-year-old kid is making, so that might not be a lot. But
it might not be a lot, right?
It still is. I mean, to me, it still is like, I don't know. I don't love that.
They couldn't have found an item. They could have smoothed that out, right, and made some wiggle room there. But yeah, I mean, that's a great point.
Like I think the dream would have been, man, they put $1,000 in. We're putting $5,000 in with after-tax dollars. And it almost works like a Roth IRA. I think that would have been sweet. The middle ground to me would have been it works like a 529 or something where, hey, when they cash it out, you owe taxes on the capital gains. Mm-hmm. And then I think if you look at it, that it's working kind of like an IRA funded with after-tax dollars, it's kind of sucks.
Right. Yeah.
But
true.
it is
Good
what
point.
it is. So.
Good point.
It is what it is.
So again, the pros, right? Free money, early investing, kind of build that habit, low cost investments, as you mentioned, and a pretty simple structure, right? So those are some of the goods. What are some of the other criticisms, some of the other things that we want to kind of be aware of just because it can be a little sticky?
I mean, there's just some administrative stuff, right? I mean, you got to do, you have to do some paperwork. So it doesn't matter if you put a $20 contribution into it. There's a Form 709 that you got to fill out. So, that's a little bit, I feel like, annoying from a gift tax standpoint, where typically we have that exclusion up to like $19,000 where we can gift without having to do that. So
I think that's not qualify for that gift tax exclusion. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I think that's a little annoying. Again, it's just something like if, grandpa wanted to throw $100 in there, now grandpa's got to do he's got to do the 709 on his tax return this year. I mean, that's a little bit.
Yeah, and I guess keep in mind, Scott, a lot of DIY tax software doesn't support that form, right? So
I know, which just adds to the eye roll a little bit. But so now,
if you got a CPA, it's fine, right?
Yes, yeah. So, and then again, the other criticism, right? No tax deductions on contributions. So that up to $5,000 that others can put in is not deductible for those contributors. The withdrawals are taxable. So unlike qualified withdrawals out of a 529 or a Roth IRA, you're paying ordinary income tax. We hit on that a little bit. So I feel like the flexibility is a little bit limited compared to some of the other accounts that are out there. So like I always view things in like priority of how I'm saving, right? Like, hey, we're going to max the 401k first. Next up, I want to be doing backdoor Roth IRAs. Next up, and again, if you don't have this list, you should get a hold of us because the priority of saving list is important.
That's great.
Next is the taxable account. We want to fund, generally at least $1,000 a month into that after-tax account that's going to grow and be there for us early in retirement. After that, we're going to look at 529s. After that, we're going to look at custodial accounts or custodial Roth IRAs if our kids have earned income. And then at the very bottom of this list for me is funding these presidential government-backed accounts.
Okay.
Now, you still want to, I would say, go through the steps of getting $1,000. Hey, get $1,000. You did nothing for it. So even if your kid pays taxes on it later, that's 100% return on your investment.
Yeah, it's $1,000.
Whatever's in there, right?
Yeah.
And so, and if that goes into a low cost fund and sits there for how many years, I mean, that could be worth a decent chunk of change even. So at a minimum, I would do that.
Okay. So you would have, if you've got a new kid, you'd say, hey, it's worth taking the money for the little bit of hassle, even if you don't wind up utilizing the other pieces. And they may make some legislative changes down the way to it and maybe smooth out some of these wrinkles. They may not, right? But
yeah, I would think definitely the gift tax reporting issue would get fixed down the road. And then I would be surprised, sadly, if they would change the taxability of it. I would think they did think through that portion of it. I think the gift tax one is probably just something that got missed. But I think the withdrawals being taxable, I think that'll probably always be there. So, So again, these accounts.
Well, the government does need money, right? I mean, we do have $38 trillion in debt. So,
Well, I mean, it's kind of a way. I think the way they're viewing this is like, hey, this is a way that we can take a little bit of money and seed it in there, and then you're using equity appreciation out of the market to raise tax revenue for the government down the road.
Yeah.
And so, it's not dumb, but there's a cost to it, and then there's a cost to administer the program and everything. So
Sure.
that's all there too. But so I wouldn't say that these accounts are like bad, or it's bad financial planning, or it's not bad that the government did or anything like that. But I would say in terms of like my priorities of where I'm going to save, this is like at the bottom.
Gotcha.
Bottom. So,
Yeah, there's maybe some better options to look at.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. So the free money's real, right? But so with the trade-offs, right? So,
Yep.
I guess at the end of the day, just, if you've got a new addition to the family, talk with your advisor and see if it's something that's worthwhile for you. To your point, Scott, take the free money and let it grow and, see where it's at in 18 years at minimum.
Well, excuse me, it's 2026 now. So also, if you're wanting to take advantage of this program and your spouse isn't pregnant yet, or you're not pregnant yet, time to get busy. Get on it, get that $1,000, bring it on
Right.
home. So
Well, I think that was probably the idea too, right? I think
Yeah.
is fostering the idea we need to grow. We need to, population wise, and we also need to kind of get into the habit of saving, saving.
yeah.
Right. So getting
Well,
these
and I think what drove a little bit of this is that school of thought too, where like, hey, if we just put our Social Security contributions into the broader equity markets instead of having them taken out and sent to the SSA administration, you'd have a significantly larger income in retirement due to the nest egg that you could build.
yeah.
And so, I think that's what drives some of the logic. Like, hey, if we put it in there and let's let this grow, I mean, that can be a decent chunk of change that kid can use for college or getting their footing started or whatever the case is. So,
But I mean, even if you just use the lesson, like even if you just go to a different form of account and say, look, figuring out a way to get, your newborn 50 years of compounding could be a serious game changer, right?
Yes.
So whether it's this kind of account or another, that's, I think, a huge takeaway as a win.
Well, and I was just looking up. So 3.8 million babies were born in 2025.
Okay. In America.
In America. Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's, roughly what? And then if you compound that, let's do some quick math, okay? I know
All
that
right.
we're never supposed to do math on the podcast. I get that, Mark, but bear with me.
We'll do it anyway.
So,
It's
okay.
our show. We'll do what we want.
Yep. So, we got $1,000. Let's just say it's going to cook off at, 8% in the market for 18 years, and I never add to it. So that's going to be worth $4,200 for that kid. Okay. It's something. It's nice. I mean, for most kids in America, for 3.8 million kids to have, $4,000 when they turn 18, I mean, that's definitely a leg up for most kids.
Yeah. I mean, $4,000, that might be your first car.
Absolutely. Now, if we put the $5,000 a year into it, that'd be worth $191,000 at 8%. So,
Yeah.
Obviously those contributions make a big difference, and it's nice to get that account started for the kid. So again,
$200,000. That's not bad, man.
that's a good start. That's a good start.
I mean, that's college. I mean, granted, you could do the 529, I suppose, as well. But
and that's again where I go back to, if I'm going to pay for college, it sucks that that's all taxable now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. True.
so that definitely feels like a miss, but yeah, I mean, so it took what, $3.8 billion. I mean, that's pennies in our national budget to fund that. So,
Which is terrifying, but yeah.
I know
Yeah.
it is. So,
All right.
anyways.
Well, at the end of the day, right? Is it right for you? Is it not right for you? First of all, it's a small window, right? If you've got a newborn or not, but we thought it was worthwhile to have that conversation around it. Like anything, make sure that you are having conversations about anything financially with your financial advisor, so that you are heading down the right path, getting yourself into the right flight path there for retirement. As always, if you need Scott's help, don't forget to reach out to him. We got links in the show descriptions below. Get yourself some time on the calendar. Pick up a copy of the toolkit. That's a great way to get started as well. And subscribe to us on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. Scott, final thoughts, my friend?
Hey, man, I love our pilots, and they're awesome people. And, to protect this great country and our culture and national defense, we need more babies. We need more babies from our pilots. Let's go. Now you're going to get paid $1,000. Go crank out some quadruplets over the next couple years.
When you're on a layover, Brown chicken, brown cow. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
we'll
anyways,
see.
keep them coming. Keep them
There
coming.
you go. Well, we'll see you next time here on the Wealthy Pilots podcast with Scott Osborn. Don't forget to check out the show descriptions below. We'll see you next time, folks.
All right. See y'all.
Hey everyone, real quick, if you haven't grabbed Scott's Financial Flight Control Toolkit yet, now is the time. This is packed with tons of helpful resources and tools like this, Scott's book, The Dichotomy of Wealth, which is a pilot's guide to maximizing wealth and cash flow in retirement. You also get access to some great guides like this one, Advice Matters, which breaks down 4 key ways a good financial advisor can help you boost your returns over time. And guides like this one on the pitfalls of emotions when it comes to investing, and this one on the HCM byline investment strategy, and more. So if you'd like your very own Financial Flight Control Toolkit, just click the link in today's show description, and Scott and the team will be happy to get one sent your way at absolutely no cost to you.
Information is for illustrative purposes only and does not constitute tax, investment, or legal advice. Always consult with a qualified investment, legal, or tax professional before taking any action.